Okay. We will call to order the September 5th, 2024 meeting of the Historic District Commission in Saugatuck, Michigan. Sarah, would you please help us with a call to order?
Sure.
Or roll call rather?
Here.
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 Martha.
Here.
Donahue.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Godfrey.
Here.
Lampman. Present. Yep.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We have a full family. Are there any changes to the agenda, additions or deletions?
None from staff, Mr. Chair. No.
Great, thank you. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from the regular meeting held on June 6th, 2024 in the Wayback Machine? That seemed like forever ago. And if so, does someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 6th, 2024 as presented.
Thank you, Russ. Do I have a second? Well, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay. Do we have any public comments today on the agenda items? See any or hear any? Do we have any unfinished business? Not, we will move right into new business. We have two items tonight, 413 Lake Street, which is new rear windows and a door, and Village Park, or Village Square Park. So let's start with 413 Lake. Looks like Keely, you're here representing, you're the applicant?
She's muted.
There you are. You're muted.
There you go. Sorry about that. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So we have a couple new folks tonight. Keely, I'm just gonna sort of tee up. Have you been to a Historic District Commission meeting before?
I have not.
Okay, I'll tee up for all of us, the way this works. So everyone's received the packet and has looked at the packet. I will give you the opportunity to share anything that's not included in the application that we've already read, any additional comments that you want to make, and then I will send it around the table for each commissioner to ask you any questions or anything that they might not need answered in terms of clarity of the application. And then we'll take a vote. Does that sound good?
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. So anything you'd like to add to the application as it's in our packet?
I don't think so. I did drove by there this evening and double checked that the windows aren't like the current windows are all vinyl. They're not wood. But the framing around the windows is wood. I just wanted to double check that they weren't like, some special wood windows. So they're vinyl as well. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Before I send it around the table, this is probably more a comment for staff. We always have the comment section from staff that help guide us a little bit. This particular comment section, I just want to call out that I feel like it's a little misleading.
Okay.
It talks about how it's important to note while the home is situated within the boundaries of the historic district, the property itself is not designated as a contributing structure. That's right. The replacement materials for this project have been selected to be consistent with the architectural style and character of the home. Like, I would always just like, to me, it's contributing or non-contributing, and then what guidelines are met and what's your recommendation based on how they address those guidelines. I don't know that it's immediately about the architectural style and character. I think it's more about the materiality in our guidelines that we choose. Because I know we've gotten on a slippery slope about non-contributing structures. And I care a lot about that an applicant knows we can't make them more non-contributing. So it might be in the architectural style, but the materiality in the interpretation of our guidelines, that's a different thing to me. So we can talk about it offline in terms of how the comments are prepared. But I made this comment last time when there was a sort of subjective comment made about, well, modern structures are blah, blah, blah. Like, that needs to be a guidelines-based recommendation in my opinion. So just one call out there. Ryan, you look perplexed.
I think what Mr. Jurasik was touching on there was, pointing to I think he's outlining the pieces from your ordinance so your historic district ordinance, kind of has those 4 factors. So it refers to your guidelines, number one. And then it also says that these are, your other things that the commission has to give consideration to. So I think what he was kind of touching on there seemed to be, which A is, historical or architectural significance of the resource and its relationship to the historic value of the surrounding area. So I think he was probably touching on something related to
Okay.
that, but.
I might be
have some further discussion.
interpreting it different, so it could be my issue.
Okay.
So fair enough.
But
Anyway, I don't want to distract us from the application. It's just while I wanted that in context of the, for the comments as we go around the table. I think this is a pretty straightforward application, so it's.
yeah, we certainly can. Sarah, can you put up the, maybe pull up, page 16 is what's existing, and then we can roll through what they're proposing.
John, do you want to, we'll start on your end?
I wanted to.
Oh, you want to
see
see the-
something? Yes, somewhere in the packet I saw the new proposed. This is existing?
Yep, existing, yep.
So, can I see the new pic, I think I can't remember right there. Is that the exact window that's proposed, the door? Because the stiles and rails are much more, narrow. They're not the same, as what's there, which is kind of in keeping with the house. When you look at the verticals and the horizontals of the framework of the window. This is very modern. And not that that can't be done, but I think it needs to be consistent. So that's my comment, and I'd love to hear from the applicant if this is the actual, I don't know what brand is that. It said it in there.
Pella.
They're Pella and
Pella.
it's the Impervia line. So that's their fiberglass.
Okay. And does it come in a wider one? If you look at the other windows on the house, they don't look like this. I don't think.
Well, maybe the applicant can help us. Are there other doors like this that you're replacing? That you're not replacing, rather?
The Pella guy didn't have a picture of the exact doors that were being replaced in kind. So number one, the framing is going to be in white, just like the current ones, not black. The picture that you're seeing, the ones that are in black, that's literally from a brochure. And I was like, well, I kind of need more than that. And that's why they gave me the that itemized sheet with all the dimensions and the, what's the width and the length and all that kind of good stuff. So I don't know. The only thing I do know is that the frame around the actual glass itself is going to be more narrow, but it's going to be white. So it's going to look just like it does now, except instead of right now, it's just one door that moves. The other two don't move. The replacement is going to be a slider, so that the door itself won't open in or out, it'll slide. So the current one opens in and out, the replacement will be a slider.
And it looks like it's a passive panel and an active panel, and then like a factory mold, maybe full, like panel but casement window, on the Pella drawing.
Yeah, Sarah, can you pull up page 21?
The Pella.
21.
On the side, you mean the two side windows or the part of the door? Because there's the 3 panels that are like, I guess, quote unquote, the door. And then also the 2 side windows are going to be replaced as well.
Do you have any pictures, Sarah, of any other windows that we can look at in the house
Right.
or any other doors?
No, they're just, so on this water side, Keely, are there any more doors? Any other
No.
door? Water side?
No.
So my opinion is this, we say we don't want to make up a structure more non-conforming.
Contribute.
This contributing, this does to me that, it's going the other way. And those are typically much more expensive, the narrow stiles and rails, so. That's my only comment, and maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think that that's in keeping with the rest of the house.
Okay. Keith, anything else? John, anything else?
No.
Keith?
No questions.
Will?
I didn't have anything else. I think it's a good call out. The one thing I will say is that I went through the same thing on my house and I was trying to match, it was a wider profile. And I was told they didn't make that anymore and it was narrow and this is more energy efficient. So I don't know, but I ran into almost the same thing.
Laura?
No issue, no question.
Okay, Russ?
Yeah, thank you. So just to make sure that I'm clear, so the replacement window from the brochure is just to show us that and I don't know my terms here, but the dividers between the windows is gonna be a little thinner. It's going to be a slider as opposed to open and closed door, which I don't
Correct.
personally, yes, thank you, which I don't personally have an issue with, but I want to make sure that I understand the brochure shows a window which is quite a bit different from what you currently have, and I'll call them the two side lights. So the replacement you're going to put in is going to be a slider in white as opposed to an in and out door, and then the two windows on the right and left are going to be essentially the same from the other picture, but in white. So in other words, there's not gonna be a reduction in windows or any changes into the terms of number of windows and.
That's
Yeah.
correct. That is correct. And the size of the windows and the doors are not changing. They're not gonna be removing any of the framing or any of the siding or anything. They're just gonna pop them in and pop them out.
Okay, so the two changes that you would see if you were to walk up to it would
White
be
balance.
sliders opposed to in and out door. And then
Correct.
two is going to be is that the division or that whatever it's called between the windows is gonna be a little bit thinner than what's currently there.
That's correct. There'll be more glass.
Thank you.
You are correct. Mhm.
Megan?
Did you explore the Pella Lifestyle Series that is the wood slider with the aluminum cladding?
The Pella guy came out to the location and he was, he had all his measurements and he was there for about an hour exploring what he could do and what he couldn't do and what his options were. And basically it came down to, wood or I don't know if it's vinyl or not, I'm sorry. And for lasting, and being next to the lake, it was kind of decided that vinyl would be, but it's already vinyl now, it's not wood now, but for just longer lasting durability, we chose the vinyl.
So we have a picture now and this emphasizes my point. There are windows on the upper balconies and they are different, much different than what you're showing from the brochure. And that's a radical difference. I think these replacement windows should follow the width of the framework of those windows. The glass should be the same.
Well, we should ask, Keely, can you see that on the screen? Is that what it
Yes.
looks like today?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess, and in the conversation, the only thing else I would add in the background description of this application. Where is it? The subject windows and door appear to face the water, not in the public right of way. The reason I think we should just be cautious on this is we have talked about the water side being like a public facing elevation in many, many applications. So consistency from the water side is sort of considered a street. I share your concern, John. I don't know that I'm as concerned with it only because if I make it past the test of is it more non-contributing because of this? I think there's already sort of a mix of windows on this side, and I don't think it makes it any more of a mix than it is now. You have double hungs, you have really thick doors above, you have slider below, you have casement beside the slider, and you have solid doors. Like there's so many elements that I don't know that this makes it worse. Would be my only. Yeah, Russ.
Yeah, thank you. So the point that's being brought up is the fact that these two upper level doors, this one will be out of, right?
I think it's already out of whack a little bit with those casements beside it. So, and said another way, the lower middle is the only thing that's changing and it's already different.
No, she said all of them are changing.
Just the lower middle and then the two on directly on the either side of the door.
Yeah.
The one,
The lower
two-
middle, yes, I'm with you. The
Okay.
lower middle section
Of
of
all
the
the-
door and the two casement windows on the side are the only things that's changing. And that's pretty different from what's above, is my point. I think you're totally right about it being different, but I don't know that it's that pure right now, would be that's one person's opinion. It would bother me more if there were those same sliders, doors directly above it where those solid doors are.
I'll have to say, this is, I think, the first time I've ever seen this side of this house.
Yeah.
The entire time I've been here.
It's hard to find.
Yeah, how you found that?
So I find
Was
it
good.
fascinating to actually see a side of a house that I walk by constantly. I've never seen the water side of it. I appreciate where Commissioner Canarsa is coming from. Yeah, I'm not enough of a creative and stylist person to really, just draw the differences here, but I would say from a layperson standpoint on the water, the proposal, I don't think is gonna look distinctly different from what's currently there, that someone's gonna say, wait a minute. What's, it's not gonna draw attention to the eye, I don't think. That's where I would come from in terms of keeping consistent with what we've, reviewed and agreed to in the past. But I understand where Commissioner Canarsa is coming from. I
Yeah.
can appreciate that.
Any other comments? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll take it. I move to approve the replacement of the windows and a sliding door in accordance with the plans and details submitted within the application materials. And there are no conditions with that approval.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Could we add to the motion, even though it was never asked for, to confirm that there are no sandwich divided light additions permitted? Just to be super clear in case those appear
can you clarify that? I don't know what that means.
permitted, yeah. So if there's like mullions, any sort of
Yeah.
light that aren't real, that are sort of between the glass or attached to the glass on the back or on the front.
Got it. Yes, that is correct. No,
I know
none of that.
I know you're not planning on doing that. I'm just doing it for good measure.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying yes. Yes, opposed?
Post.
Thank you. Thanks for working through this with us, Keely. We appreciate it.
Of course. Do you guys want pictures when it's done at the end?
That'd be awesome.
Perfect. I'll email them to Ryan if that's okay, to his email address or the email address.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great night.
You too. Next item is Village Square Park, an interpretive history sign.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Well, good evening, Historic District Commissioners. It's been a couple months since we've been together, and that's a rarity, I think, for your board. So it's good to see everyone, and welcome to you, Megan. The Saugatuck Douglas History Center has been working on a project for a while now, where they've have placed historical markers in different areas of the city, including the historic district, that kind of provides some information about different places. And so their two newest markers that they're looking to install would include one on the west side of the river near the Chain Ferry. That's outside of your district and not part of your review this evening. But the other marker is at Village Square Park on the east side of Butler, near the restrooms and tennis courts. So the markers are same design, same style, same dimensions as all the other markers that they've placed before and that have come before you before. So, but just wanted to make sure and bring this to you for your review and decision.
Thank you. We'll go around the table, starting with Megan. Any clarifying questions or comments? All Russ?
Yeah, two questions. One is, what will the marker be telling us about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure content wise, but for council approves, we'll make sure that Eric's provided a little detail on that. Yeah.
Thank you too. And it's not necessarily a historic district commission discussion, but I am concerned about the location.
Okay,
Anybody that walks down that sidewalk, that gets jam-packed with people using the restrooms and coming from the hill and coming from the park across the street to the bathrooms. I would strongly suggest that that be moved back up the sidewalk away from the corner to draw people away from the corner, so it frees the sidewalk up for pedestrian traffic.
okay.
That's a big concern. I love the signs. I'm
Yeah.
fully in support of the project, but I think the location should be thought to.
Okay, yeah, we can, we did have Parks and Public Works look at it and the Department of Public Works Superintendent, but I can raise that concern.
That makes sense what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I can, yep, I definitely raise that with them to take a look at that piece.
Yeah, there's a lot
So,
of traffic jams down there. So.
Thank you. Laura?
Thank you. I share, Commissioner Gardner's concern about the location. You know, you have the craft fair in that location and, you know, we've had a lot going on with the playground. I would prefer to see that, keep, you know, have the market, but definitely, moved from that corner. I don't think that's a smart location for it. I'd like to clarify, is the request here for one or two historical markers? Looks like the application is stating two.
Yeah, there's two because one is at the chain ferry on the west side of the river, but the
And
one
that's already installed. Is that correct? The chain ferry one is installed?
So they're asking to have an additional marker on the west side of the river, but there's only one that's before you, which is the one that's at Village Square Park.
Okay,
So it would only be one that they're installing there.
Just clarification, I think there's already a chain ferry sign
Yep.
on the east side.
Yep.
right. So that's already installed. So we're not concerned with that.
Correct.
Only a marker that describes the historical nature of the village square.
Correct.
But we don't know what.
We don't know what
We
the
don't know what
content
it's
is.
gonna say yet.
I don't know that we have a horse in that race.
Yeah, and I wasn't making the inquiry about what it would say. I trust the
You want
historical
this.
commission to get it right. So. Okay,
So they're only proposing one within the historic district with this go around, and that's the one that at Village Square
okay.
Park.
Appreciate that clarification. It just mentioned the two. So yeah, I would certainly in favor of it. I think they do look nice. People stop. I see them stop and read them all the time. And I think the pictures are really fabulous. So support this project. Let's just move it to a stronger site. Thank you.
Can I clarify too, that when you say stronger, I know.
Yeah.
Mr. Gardner mentioned concerns about like being immediately on that corner. And, you know, exact placement is somewhat within your purview as that relates to the space around it. So, I guess we probably should get a little bit of detail, like, you know, if somebody's thinking it needs to be in a completely different place in Village Square Park or moving, you know, a little bit further east off the sidewalk. So it's just not right on that corner where folks are normally gathering at.
Yeah, would the other side of the restroom work? There's not that much going on the opposite side of the restroom.
Yeah,
Right.
well, there's a basketball back.
Well, not that far back, but still closer to the sidewalk, just on the, just on the opposite side of the restroom from where you have it marked. There's sort of an empty space. And it's not on the path, which Commissioner Gardner is concerned about the traffic. Would that make any sense?
I think, well, go ahead. I'll wait my turn.
That's okay.
So that would be a suggestion.
Will,
Yeah, I think what we're saying is the same thing that I've seen is normally if you're from out of town, that's one of your stops. You know, we live, you know, right next to Coughlin Park. There's always somebody there. Not always, but it's usually a couple of people with a couple of dogs. So if you're talking about criteria and staying out of the pedestrian flow, apply that diameter of criteria because it's three-sided sign.
Right.
And the last thing anybody wants to do is stand in the middle of the sidewalk, you know, as you brought that up. So those things take up a lot of space because people like to read them. And like I said, there's three sides. So I'm in favor of using that as criteria and apply it.
Mm.
10-foot diameter, 12-foot diameter. Lay that out, put it in the middle of there and keep it out of harm's way or something. But then the pickleball people will be complaining about running into it or something,
John?
but
That's the balance, right? Yep.
Yeah, I would be in favor of, if it stays in this corner, moving it back. And then what Laura said on the other side, I believe there's bushes along that whole side of
Yeah.
that building. We can't see it right now.
I think there's a
Um,
pathway too.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't, I
That's the
There's a
pathway
bench
to go
over
up the
there.
hill.
Little bench.
think I'd only add two things. One is I want to thank you for bringing this forward, because I think I was the one that brought up the fact that they popped up out of nowhere the first time, and we all love them. But this sort of is the proof in the pudding that we need to have some dialogue about it.
Sure.
But so thank you for that. I think that's probably why the second one is noted. Secondly, though, I'm wondering if our motion can just include asking Public Works to make their best recommendation to make sure this doesn't impede sidewalk traffic, and let the experts who do this do their job versus us trying to determine what radius it is. And I trust that they'll move it back X number of feet to get it out of the sidewalk right away. If that's really our concern, let's let the people who do this every day address that concern, and maybe we can put that in the motion.
I don't think the Chain Ferry one does what you're saying. It's pretty close.
Right.
But
And I
that's
was-
not our,
I know, I'm just saying, if you're,
Yeah, if I can add in, I think the chain ferry one needs to be rethought as well for the same issues. Many of us have gone by there, you can see there could be 20, 30 people standing there, and anything that's gonna block the ability of people to move is gonna be an issue. And I just see from the pictures that we've been provided that there's some other spots where I think might be a more logical location for it, that little sidewalk that goes up to the fence that Dune Grass has put up might be another spot to locate it. And I think this is something that we just, and maybe not the Historical District Commission, but I think this is something incumbent on council as well as Public Works to say, you really need to think this through to make sure that it's not gonna impede and
Mhm.
so. That, I think this is a very valid discussion in terms of placement, and sometimes people make suggestions on these and placement and don't really have the experience of actually moving through there and kind of doing the evaluation. So I like the fact to have Public Works or even the manager, for that matter, just, kind of visually take a look at it and.
Brian, what's the confine of the village square? Where does it technically start and stop, so to speak?
So
I mean, the city property itself.
Yeah, I mean, is there a formal entry point to Village Square? And should this be a consideration for placement? I just,
I mean, I don't know. I would say that I don't think it depends on what direction you're coming from, or whether there's a formal entry point. Yeah, because I mean, it truly is the four corners, and the city owns all four corners. Without having, I haven't had an extensive conversation with Eric as it related to why he was picking this exact location. Perhaps there's some sort of piece of information that they're trying to share specific to this corner area. Maybe that's what, or he's trying to find the highest traffic location where some folks are going to look at it, which I suspect that this probably would be this area. So I think he's probably spot on there, and maybe it's a combination of the two. So,
okay.
um,
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
Okay.
I certainly think, Tim, your motion to leave it to them to place it in a, with our concerns would be good.
yeah, I think all
So-
the concerns you guys, we're all bringing up are valid.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know that it needs to be that complicated, just in terms of
Right.
stating our concern and asking them to reflect that in the placement of this within the confines of that.
Yeah,
And then the other one is like not our purview, but I think if you guys want to mention that in council or
Mm.
zoning or something.
yeah, and I can bring that up in my council comments as well on Monday. The other thing I would suggest too is that I think about that location and the city, as a convenience to its citizens, snow blows all of the downtown and community sidewalks. That would definitely be in the direct path of getting either heavily hit with snow or that could be an obstacle for the DPW team. So again, just something to add to this in terms of what we need to be thinking about when we do this location.
All good input and, so we'll clarify with Eric. I don't know that he meant like exactly right on the corner. If he's just kind of talking about this general area. Like I said, again, Mr. Herbert has looked at this and didn't have concerns with this particular being located in this area. But I know certainly snow removal and things like that are definitely top of mind for him, or even mowing around these and weed whacking are all sometimes pieces they have to work through. So.
Yeah, I don't want to overthink this too much because I'm making it up, but if you put it back 5 feet, then there's a giant dirt spot around it where everyone constantly
Yeah.
then we're going to be worried about. So I think there's a balance there of just like getting it back. So no one's. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I will.
Since we've beat this one to death.
I move that we approve the installation of an interpretive history sign in Village Square Park at the discretion of the DPWs. At their discretion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Can we add to that, John? Can we say at their discretion with the idea that commissioners have a concern about impeding the public right of way? It's okay. I don't know if that's can be said a better way. And all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed? Okay, thank you, guys. That's it for the new business portion of our agenda. Administrative approvals and updates. Anything you'd like to tell us about these, Luke or Ryan? Well, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, not a ton, Mr. Chair, and just want to formally welcome my colleague here, Luke Thompson, as our soon to be officially designated zoning administrator. That should be on the council's agenda soon. But Luke's been diving right in and doing lots of reading, not just about zoning. He's been diving into the historic district side of things too, and then talking with folks about the projects that they have upcoming. And if it's all right, Mr. Chair, maybe I'll turn over to Luke just to kind of tell you a little bit about himself and.
Sure, yeah. I've been here for nearly 3 weeks. It's been a lot of fun. Everyone's very accommodating, and definitely a lot to learn. It's amazing how many differences there are when you come from one community and then you start, looking into the regulations of another. I kind of thought it'd be similar, to be honest. It's not even close. But it's been a lot of fun. Everyone's been very helpful. And I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. We're glad to have you.
Thanks.
And I'm sure Ryan is too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out of order if I can, just for commission comments to also introduce Megan, since this is the first time you guys are meeting Megan. Megan, do you want to maybe do the same thing? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Megan Lampin. I have been a resident of Saugatuck in the city for 15 years now. I'm married, have 2 kids. I have an interior design business locally, but have spent 20 years in various sectors of the business of high-end residential construction locally. So I'm excited to join this group and be here with all of you.
Thanks. We're delighted to have you. I think we have a really good full group right now. So everyone has something to contribute, which is great. Are there any public comments? No more communication? No more communication? I was gonna say one thing and I completely lost it. I'm not on my top of my game tonight. Must not have been important. If not, do we have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, y'all.
Thank
you. That's a
34 minutes?
almost a record. I think
Almost a
we've done
record.
one faster.
We did, yeah.